So, guys, when Kevin asked me to give a talk, I thought maybe the best thing that I can do is to share with you some of the experiences or in terms of how we went about dealing with troubled projects and preventing troubled projects as part of my job in IBM. So what I'm going to do is tell you about the process and some of the things that we did and introduce a methodology to you. I don't know if you've heard of 7 Keys to Success, which is something that, which is a methodology that IBM adopted after they took over PwC consulting. And it became part and parcel of all of our projects in order to ensure, first of all, check the health of the projects, and then accompanied by some other tools, determine whether a project is troubled or not. Because I'm going to start my slides with what is the definition of a troubled project. And the definition that I have here is a very high-level, generic definition. Every organization has its own specific metrics and measures that will tell them that a project is troubled, right? Some of the things that I'm going to say is not on the slides, so that's how I teach, so I usually give you the overall story, and then we will go into the elements, the details of the slides. So basically, there was 2 parts to it. One is prevention, and then determining, where's the red flag? Is the red flag is there or not? And then trying to deal with that. And then if we can't, then we would send somebody else in, or we would get a consultant in, or replace the project manager, or to recover from this troubled project. Okay, so our job, we had roles like QA, quality assurance, or risk managers. These were senior executive type project managers who had been around and would go in, of course, in the environment that I'm talking about is consulting, okay? So these are external projects for us. So there's a customer, and there's us, and there's a contract, we made commitments. So it was very important for the organization to make sure that we are not going to lose money or be looked upon by the customer as someone that cannot deliver, right? Or if they deliver, it's always double the price, or 2 months later, 3 years later, or whatever. So we used to go in as a QA, quality assurance guys. It's not the typical definition of quality assurance as PMBOK provides. But it was our job to go in and determine the health of the projects. And as a result of our, it usually was 2-3 days in the middle of the project. And sometimes the teams were, in the beginning when we started this, the teams were really trying to shy away from this, because they thought that here's the police coming and trying to check us out and audit us and then report us. And which took us a while to communicate and to make it clear that we are not in there to catch you red-handed or report that you are not doing well or whatever. The idea is to protect our interest and protect the customer's interest, and as a result, make sure that or help you guys to do better. So what we did was we used to go in and as a result of this interviews and reviews and documents and stuff like that, we would come up with findings. We issue findings, the findings about resources, finding about customer sat, finding about technical issues, finding about this. And then we would come up with a list of action items that with the team. So here is an outsider going in and to have an objective look. And usually the customers were also involved in this. And then we would rate these projects, A, B, C, and D. D projects were projects that had satisfied certain criteria in terms of cost, in terms of customer sat, in terms of the status of the deliverables, that would put them in a position that would be flagged as a troubled project. Okay? Now, when you get into a troubled project, the frequency of these reviews, the PMR reviews, would increase. If you're an A project, well, I'll see you in a year. If you're a B project, maybe in 6 months. If you're a C project, maybe 3 months later. If a D project, I will see you next week or 2 weeks. Because the idea was to try to prevent this thing from sinking in deeper and deeper and see if we can somehow come up with a turnaround without having to get the project into a situation which we call it a critical situation. Crit sit. A project would get into a crit sit when either the customer is about to sue us or the GP, the profit is like minus some 2 digits and per percent or whatever. So that's when we would send in either a consultant, like I would go in or Kevin would go in or somebody else would go in to see if we can turn things around. And so the story that I'm going to tell you after I go through a little bit of a detail is what was that process of turnaround? How would we go in and what are the things that we would do in order to see if, and sometimes the answer was, no, we can't turn it around. The patient is not going to recover, right? And so the idea was just to get make an assessment, a educated, a intelligent assessment, and then make a declaration as to whether we should spend more money on this thing or whether we have to kill this thing and deal with the consequences that were stipulated in the contract. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, and I don't mind if you have any questions, please go ahead and ask the questions. If something that I told you didn't make sense to you, I'll be happy to clarify. Okay, so interrupt me when you like. So I'm going to start with root causes. Why do projects fail? Now, there are a lot of reasons why projects fail. And I'm not going to go through this list. This is just there are other reasons or root causes why, which make the project fail. But basically, if we categorize them, there are three categories. Some of these root causes are related to management, not providing proper oversight, management committing to things that were not doable, management not providing the right resources. They favor one project against another. So there are some of these that relate to that. Some of them are planning issues. Didn't do a good job, didn't understand the requirements, didn't do a proper job of estimating, didn't understand some of the nuances of the project, didn't understand the culture, didn't understand the environment, all of that. And then the third one are external things, supplier, all of the other stuff that sometimes we don't really have any control over, but we have to manage it closely. So the idea was to do these prevention measures. And as I told you, the prevention measures was the periodic project reviews to determine the health of the projects. And I told you about the SMEs going in and coming up with recommendations. And then a determination is made as to whether a project is troubled or not. And as I told you, the tool that we used, and this was mandated for all the project managers to use that even in normal situations when they're reporting status, to talk about 7 keys to success. If you want, this used to be a proprietary methodology, but it's available on the internet, so I don't think it's proprietary anymore. Okay, so you can look it up on internet, and there are lots of additional materials there that talk to it. So the 7 keys to success focused on 7 areas that project managers would have to look into as the project was moving forward to determine whether these areas are red, yellow, or green. Green being that everything is hunky-dory, yellow meaning that things are trending to problem, and red is when we are behind and we have been behind for a while. The areas are and schedules are predictable. This meaning that we have been able to manage to plan things properly, and we haven't missed anything. Our estimates are okay. Our requirements have been understood. So things are okay. And in the next few charts, I'll show you some signs that we would look as project managers to determine whether we are okay or we are not. The other one, with business benefits are being realized in the sense that the customer appreciates the project, the customer is aware of the benefits of this project, and the third one, and the stakeholders are committed and supporting us. The fourth one was the scope is realistic, which goes back to work and schedule. Did we understand what we are getting into? And team is performing, high performing, morale is good. We are performing risk management. And delivery organization, meaning the vendor who was us, is also realizing the benefit of this project, meaning that they are favoring this project. They are not holding back good resources from this project as opposed to other projects. So they are supporting us in this endeavor. Okay. So some of the signs that shows that you're running into trouble is that for the first key, stakeholders are committed. You go into a meeting, you don't see these stakeholders, they don't show up, you send emails, you don't get proper response, and there is political infighting between various stakeholders that some people are actually sabotaging this thing, right? And every time you come up with new ideas, why don't we do this? Why everybody's no, we don't want to do that. And they were committed to providing subject matter experts, but they're always engaged in other stuff, in other more important stuff, and we are not getting the benefit of having the resources that would help us to do this project. Business benefits are realized. Well, you walk in the hallway, and it's happened to me. Why are we doing this project? What are you guys doing here? We don't understand. Why is this company paying so much money to do this thing? Right? People don't realize why. The business benefits are not realized, and that trickles down into whenever you want to come up with a decision to state the urgency is not there. Time is, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. But don't spend too much money. We can't afford it. Work and schedules are predictable. Can't describe. They don't even know when are we done. There's no clear definition as to what finished means. So it keeps going on and on and on. Uncontrolled poor plans. Slippage comes as a surprise because they didn't think. Nobody had thought, oh no, we thought this is all. They don't realize that projects go into ups and downs, and they don't want to deal with it. Scope is realistic. Issue is a bad word. The issue log is 100, 200 elements on it, and they're all open, right? And they don't want to deal with it. So I don't have time for that. Nothing in writing. There is no commitment in terms of what the requirements are. There is so tension in the team. I'll tell you one example. The requirements were so poorly documented that when we walked in, I'm not exaggerating, we had 10 change requests a day coming in because people just realized what is happening and they are impacted. So they wanted changes. And so as a result of it, most of our resources were spending time trying to analyze and assess these changes rather than getting to their own job. And as a result, the tension was really high. Turnover was high because that was not what they were hired for. And people want to leave. Risk, show me your risk register. There is no risk register. There is no, everybody's managing risk from the seat of their pants, right? They may have a risk log, but it's there, that's it. They have just stated the risk. There is no action item, there is no response plan, there is no owner, there is nothing, right? They go home and pray and hope that they will go away. Or it doesn't show, they're hoping that this risk doesn't happen. And and from our organization, we used to, our good resources were sometimes pulled from one project to put on another project because the other customer is more favorable, and so on and so forth. So they don't really value this project as a high project and important project. So this, what you see on the right. As I said, if you go on the internet, you will see some details about 7 keys. And there are ways of reporting, and they use these red, yellow, green colors to report on the status of these 7 keys. And if one instance here, you see we have 2 reds and 3 yellows. And if you look at this on a week-by-week basis, you can tell whether the project is trending to a better situation, or it's as the red colors increase and the yellow or green colors decrease, you will see that we are trending in that situation. Things are not going well. So that was just a very brief introduction to this methodology for determining the health of the project. One of the things, so the idea here from now on is that we have declared the project troubled, we have done some due diligence, but this thing is getting worse and worse, and now we want to go in and stop the bleeding. And the realization is that you have to follow the rule of holes. The rule of holes says, when in a hole, stop digging, right? So stop. And the person who got you there is not the one that is going to get you out. Okay? So that's why we would try to stop whatever we can from the project activities and send an independent subject matter expert to go in and assess the situation and see what can be done. Okay. One of the ground rules is that, the failing project, when you want to come up with a recovery plan, that's a separate project by itself. And the customers may, depending on what the situation is, you may have to time box this thing. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, because this costs money to you, right? And it's going to impact the project, eventual project delivery time. So you want to time box this thing. You have to understand what you're getting into in terms of the politics. Usually, this is now I'm talking about this person who's coming in from the outside, right? He's coming in from the outside, and these are the things that they should be aware of, that perception is reality. success, perception about success and the value and the benefit of the project may be different by different stakeholders. They may have different understanding or expectations as to what success means. And they may not even jive with your understanding of the success when you set up this project. And sometimes these definitions change through the life cycle of the project. What we thought is success in the beginning may be something else now. Okay? So you need to understand that. And you need, of course, honesty is the best policy, but you need effective or accurate information in order to be able to stand up, because they say you have to be courageous. Stand up and don't be scared of telling it as it is. But if you want to do that, then you better have access to accurate information. Right? You don't want to stand up and make a statement and upset a bunch of people, stakeholders that are sitting there, and then you find out that you were given wrong information. Okay? So these are some of the ground rules that we used to follow in order to deal with the situation. Now, what were our steps? And these are not, we didn't magically come up with these things. These are basically some logical steps that people in consulting go through. The first thing you do is to prepare. As I told you, it's usually me being called to go to Winnipeg or to go to to some other province that had problems. So I wasn't there when I was called, and usually it was Friday, right? And then you should be there on Monday morning, right? So I had to scramble and prepare before going there, and I'll tell you what I would do. And then once you're there, you use all the information you have and use the support that you're getting in order to assess the situation. Can this patient be, go home, or this is it, or what is it that we can do, and stuff like that. And at the same time, while this is going on, you have to keep the customer happy, give them, show results that we are making progress and we are not just digging the hole more further and further. And once you have a plan, the important thing is to gain commitment. You can't just come up with a plan and put it in front of people and say, this is it. You have to have, like you do when you do project plans, you have to have the buy-in from your teams. Here you have to get the buy-in, because it's the stakeholders that have to live with this thing, and they have to support you and help you out. So you have to get commitment. And then once you have that, then you execute the plan. Now, as I'm going to say in a minute, now depends on what your role was when you go in there. Are you taking over? Or you're just going there, this is a stint, 3 weeks, 4 week stint, to make the situation better or come up with this plan and then hand it over to the existing team to do that. So that's when, so closing the recovery, it really depends on what was the definition of what was your charter when you went in there, okay? What was, and let me talk about that. But any questions about this slide? Any ideas different? This is pretty vanilla, straightforward stuff. So preparation, you have to understand, are you in charge? As I said, is your engagement temporary? This is what I talked about. And are you there to help the team and realize that you might have to make difficult decisions? And the other thing is, what is your authority? Can I hire people? Can I fire people? What is it that I need to do? Sometimes I would go in to the client side, and then there were these are people there from client side people who were marketing, salespeople. So what are you doing here? You don't have a problem. Right? So there was a disconnect between, so from an executive side, they thought that I'm in charge and I have a mandate and I'm going to deliver, but these people didn't think that I need to even be there. It was why are you even here? So I need to, this is when you don't have a proper charter. There is at least an email, a quick conference call to level set with everybody involved that this guy is coming there and that's what his role is and that's what his authority is and that's the kind of a decision that he's making, and he's going to report directly to us and stuff like that. So that should be clarified. Otherwise, you're going to be in a situation that you feel that you're not wanted and you're not getting the help that you need, and yet you're expected from your executives to deliver. Not a good situation. Understand when it's done. When am I done? What does done mean? What do I have to do? Is it I have to deliver the project, or I have to just deliver a plan that people agree that that's what we need to do? What support will you be given from the sponsor? Who is going to help me out here? Because this is not something that I can do on my own. I have to get help from other people. Okay? So it's a very important is the support, especially from your own organization, because project managers are, usually in these cases, you get into technical issues, right? You have to do a technical assessment. And we as project managers, and I'm sure, I don't know about you guys, I'm not at that level of technical knowledge to be able to sort things out at that when there's a problem. So I would need technical support. So I have a call, hey, I need this architect to come in because we have a technical review. Should be there. Otherwise, I am at a disadvantage here, and I won't be able to get the kind of information that I need in order to stand up in front of the customer and say, yeah, we have things under control. We are getting to the bottom of the problem. Okay? So that's what I'm trying to say. What do in the meantime, during that Friday and on the plane, when I get there, I would get a copy of the contract. I would look at the status review reports. If other PMR project management reviews were done before, I would get the result of what is the project rated. Is it a C? Is it a D? How many months has it been in a D situation? What is the cost situation? What is the delays? What is the status of the deliverables? Then other documents such as issue log, register, risk register, anything that would help me, they would send me all of this information, or I would access to their database and look into it and try to get up to speed on what's going on, right? I usually, if I could get hold of them, I would have interviews on the phone to prepare things for my arrival. When I get there, if I need to have a meeting with the customer, if I have to have a meeting with a team, and then try to schedule the project management review, technical review and stuff like that as a starter, and then we would take it from there. So at least before going there, before landing, or before facing the customer, I would make sure that I have some understanding of what's going on. That's very key. You don't want to go there and say, well, I don't know. That is, they don't care that you have been sent to help me out. You can't just say, I don't know, right? So you have to do the best you can to come up to speed and be able to face the customer. Okay. Now, the first thing, as PM Box says, the first thing to do, identify stakeholders, right? You can see some of these things in the documents that you read, in the contract, and some of the communiques and stuff like that, in the status reports and stuff. But you have to make sure that you have identified the key stakeholders. It's very important because you want to know where they're coming from and what kind of information they expect. So you provide the right stakeholders with the right information. What are they most sensitive about? What is their expectation? And then make sure that from the project, reviewing the project plans and reviewing the documents, that activities have been assigned, they're proper owner for everything, and we have all the resources that we need. So try to understand if there are holes already that you can start working on to plug. if they're doing a proper job of risk management, if there are any redundancies, duplications, there are people there that have been there, that haven't produced anything, and things that you can do to, because a lot of times when you go in there, you get a sense that the team is trying to protect itself, right? And it's normal. And they look at you as someone who they're reluctant to help out. But then you have to get over that. You have to communicate in such a way that they are not threatened and they don't feel like the information that they're giving is going to be put on an email and blasted everywhere else. So everything is confidential. So you have to make sure that the requirements are traced back to the original. The work that the tasks, that the deliverables can be traced back to the requirements that was originally agreed upon with the customer. And you have heard of have you heard of traceability matrix in PMBOK? Traceability matrix is very important because sometimes when you get into situations where you have lots of requirements and lots of deliverables, things fall between the cracks. So you get to the end of the project and you realize that, oh my God, we forgot about this and we forgot about that and we didn't assign resources for this and we assign resources for that. And so then you have to go and fill the hole. But this way, by doing a RACI chart and identifying the stakeholders, identifying the requirements, making sure that the resources are there, you've actually answered those questions. Then, when dealing with stakeholders, you will go into a series of interviews in order fact-finding, right? And at a high level, you want to know what are they responsible for, or do they have are they a team lead, or they're from an organization that is responsible for a bunch of people. They're providing those people. Who they report to, what is keeping them, and what are the issues? What, from their perspective, what is it that makes them feel that things are not going in the right direction? And as I said, it's very important to emphasize that all the conversations are confidential. If you come up with findings, it is not tied to a name. So-and-so said, that things are crappy. So-and-so didn't do their job. No, it's always in a third person. And because you don't want to, it's not a personal thing, it's an issue. You want to deal with the issues, okay? You don't want to cause unnecessary, concern, okay? There are a lot of political and soft type of questions. You want to get to the bottom of it. Why do they think that things are going bad? What are the different perceptions versus facts? What are the politics of the project? Who doesn't want to work with who? Does the current project organization work? Do they think that there's an organizational problem here that's preventing us from doing a good job? And what are the financial expectations of the client? What is our expectation of the financials? What is the delivery expectation in terms of time? And which client responsibilities were not met? This list is not exhaustive by any means. I mean, you have to once you go in and you understand the situations, you may put a bunch of other questions in there that might be more relevant to that particular situation. So you have an idea after all this. Read the documents, talked to people, and got help from your team. You get a sense of what's going on and what's missing and stuff like that. The assessment part of the review is once the preparation is over, now you want to come and assess things, right? So you want to assess what is the actual performance to date. You want to identify flaws. You want to do some root cause analysis. You want to find out, are the original objectives that we had about this project, are they still valid? Or they have changed and we have not realized that. You want to determine whether the project priorities are still correct and you have executive support for it. You want to determine if the resources possess the proper skills. So lots of things, and in terms of assessment, you want to answer questions on these. You're trying to find the problem areas. Right? So that was the part of the project review. In terms of the technical review, you want to understand what the technical problems are, right? If the you want to understand, first of all, is it the technical issues that causing the problem? So now that you have identified, this is a good chart. So it's important, now that you have identified the problems as a result of the project review and the technical review, you want to populate a spreadsheet, and the techniques that I used to use was to sort the problem based on their impact and the effort required to do it. So the impact was from high to low, the effort was from low to high, right? So as a result of it, at the top were high impact, low effort, kind of the low-hanging fruits that you could attack as soon as possible. So this puts the high impact, low effort at the top, and it gave me something to show the customer while we are doing the other stuff to get things under control. Because the sooner you can show some results, the better, right? And so this technique will allow us to show some results. And then we do day to day, as we always do, compile metrics. We have to have some metrics to show, using those metrics where everybody agrees upon, whether it's cost, schedule, scope, what other metrics that we can come in and get agreement on, get buy-in from the stakeholders. We would use that to show progress. Okay, let's go. So as I said, metrics, and check your estimates. People give you estimates. Make sure that these estimates are valid for the work, and agree on some metrics. Okay? I'm going to move on. And then you gain commitment from the customer in terms of, you okay with this? Do you buy in this? You have to support. So you, at this point, once you get the commitment, then which should validate that my engagement is in line with what they expect me to do, then I can go on and start executing. And the execution is usual execution like any other plan. So we have to monitor, we have to report, we have to make decisions, and pay attention to morale, pay attention to the metrics, and resolve conflicts and stuff like that. One of the things that we used to use is, and I recommend that to you guys, is this is important if you want to take a picture, whatever. But use a war room. What's a war room? Have you guys been involved in a war room? You have been involved. It's very important. It's very tedious. It takes a lot of work. But because if you want to have your status meetings, because you're in trouble projects, stand-up meetings is very important. 15 minutes in the morning. Do it in a room, of course, half the size of this. It's too big. And put the latest information on the wall, whether it's schedule, whether it's cost, earned value, whatever it is that you that signifies progress and tells people that how things are going at the last minute, at the latest information. And so people can come, take a look, and ask questions. People are there for 15, 20 minutes. It's like a scrum that Kevin was talking about. Quick, stand-up meeting, and we will, determine where we are and what needs to be done, and people will go. Usually we had one in the morning and one at the end of the day, depending on the criticality of the situation. Okay, so hopefully you can do all this, and depending, as I said, depending on what your charter was and what was your engagement, definition, then you can either close this and then continue with the original project, or you can continue this will tie into the overall project, and you may re-baseline that or whatever it is that you need to do in order to get the job done. While I don't know if you have any questions, but just look at this. I was thinking of putting this up. This is for humor. It is not real, guys. No. Anyways, guys, if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Yes, ma'am.
In your experience with these projects, how has the politics been with the original project manager? Given that, okay, there's some sort of problem, be it technical or management related, you come in as a rescue, and you've differentiated, find out what's going to be your exit criteria, what's your scope, what is expected of you. So what actually happens? Can you give us some examples? Is the original project manager given the side?
Right, sorry.
Can they execute some parts of the original project
First,
while you're fixing others? Or?
It is very important that they respect you. That you go in with some credentials, right? And usually we had a talk to explain to them. Their manager had also had a talk with them that I'm not there. Well, depends. If I was going to replace them, they wouldn't be there when I go in, right? It's done deal. So I go in, I don't have to deal with that situation. But if I was there for a short time, fixed time or fixed time box engagement, then we would have that discussion, and there would be a good understanding of, and they had no choice, right? And how they helped me would reflect in their future work and stuff like that. I never had a problem, right? In the beginning, when we started this back in 1999, when we did the PMRs, there was some resistance to do that. But when the project manager is in trouble and he's getting flack from the customer on a daily basis, sees the profit going down, minute by minute, and they have no, intelligent plan to stop the bleeding, then they would appreciate any help that they can get in order to solve the problem. Yeah, it depends on your interpersonal skills, a lot of it. I don't know if I answered your question or not. No? Yes? Why? You have something to tell?
Okay, in reality, as an example, that sounds like a good situation where the project manager was cooperating with you and perhaps was part of feeding you information about background. So what actually happens to them then, like in your experience?
Okay. So no, So they're going. Depends, as the usual, the two words that we always use as project managers. It depends. So if they had really screwed up, then they have to face the consequences. But if it was something, depending on what I find, as part of my finding, that it was something that they didn't have control over, or it was a management responsibility that wasn't fulfilled, or it's the customer that is not being very helpful and being, sometimes they're not, right? So depending on that situation, an assessment will be made in terms of whether this resource is going to still continue, right? Or we may have to replace this resource. So it's all based on performance, right? It's not based on personal relationship and stuff like that. Any other question? Okay. Thank you very much, guys. Okay.